The Place That Sleeps, Chapter 4. Jack. Hot. That's what Piper was. Thing is, I was sworn off women, ever since Michelle. They were an anomaly for me. I ended up stuffing up my relationships most of the time. I could still taste the salt from her sensual lips from last night. She must have been in the water all day. Mad sexy and my type too, with those dark smouldering looks. Smart as well. I don't know where the hell she came from, but I wanted her, and those feelings surprised me. That's not what my intention was. I wanted to protect whoever was in the house, not get together with them. Secrets were crammed like worms in its depths, and I was scared she would become another woman dragged to a water burial. Blinking rapidly, I sat in the shadows when I got home. Sipping my Pine's pale ale, I tried to savour the sweetness of her kiss, but the nightmares of my past surfaced, interfering with them. It's worse if you squirm. That's it. Let the water take you. His voice was firm, gritty between his teeth as he pushed my head into the watery prison. As I swallowed a mouthful, hands closed over my throat. My young fingers scratched and scrambled for air. I wanted to have the monster relieve his relentless grip on me. I wanted to breathe and inhale oxygen, but he wouldn't let go. The air bubbles spiraled to the top, and after 1 minute his grip eased as I spluttered and gagged for the life force of air to enter my lungs. "What are you doing? Stop!" I grasped my throat as I struggled to stay alive while the monster grinned. "It's fun." "No?" he inquired with an evil smile and darkened eyes resembling midnight. Weeping listlessly, I failed to summon the words to my cold, quivering lips. The imprint from his fingers was stamped into my larynx, leaving it throbbing. The monster stared through me as if he didn't realise what he'd done, and left the bathroom, leaving me swimming in a pool of dirty bathwater. He'd made me run the bath once a week for his pleasure. He liked to watch, his face consisting of a distorting snarl as I wrestled for life under its surface. "No, you hurt me. I don't want to anymore. You do this to Mummy too." He disregarded my helpless pleas. "It will help you with your swimming. You need to be able to breathe underwater, boy," was his soft, dangerous reply. "No, my neck hurts and I don't like it," I cried out. I remembered being 6 at the time, because for that birthday, he got me a Transformers cake, as if it soothed his brutal proclivities. "You'll live, boy." His shiny black shoes with rubber soles would stride out quietly afterwards. He was younger and stronger back then, and his arm felt like a vice clamped around my neck. Besides, nobody would believe you if you told them. His ice-cold tone made me shake as I covered myself up with a towel. I always had clothes on, and he never held me under for longer than 2 minutes, but every single one of those seconds was terrifying. I switched back to the present moment. I had to keep the ladies at the beach house safe. What if his prodigy went hunting again? When would it end? He hadn't done it for such a long time. I thought it was over. That's why I hated him so much. I sucked down more of the malty beer and lifted myself from the shadows into the light. I flicked on the kitchen light switch. I'd attended therapy a few times. That shit didn't work. I wanted to tell them about the drownings, but the words I could never utter. I couldn't take him down by myself, and the monster turned his victim into his prodigy, which didn't help. He was too far gone and had been brainwashed. He wasn't as strong as me mentally. He was impressionable and thought it was the right way. He'd been conditioned to think the abuse was normal, and there was nothing wrong with it. "It's okay to drown, girls. He said I could do it. It doesn't matter. And they almost look as pretty as Mummy under the water. You should try." Bitterness. sat on the inside of my tongue. Both had the sickness now. Both were the cruel gods from the underworld of the sea. Once the monster's prodigy found out about the beach house booking and that there were women staying in the house, he would stalk out his prey. I hoped I was around and that Piper was strong enough to keep him at bay. I wanted her to avoid the snakish charm dripping from his counterfeit lips. He was good at portraying himself as innocent. I sent her a message as her name cropped up in my head. Me. Nice to spend time with you. Free at all tomorrow? Piper. I'm on holiday. I'm free. I'm going to see my grandfather, but that's it. Time? Me. Afternoon? 3? Take you on a tour? Piper. K. Goodo. No rest. Just a gap in the torture of my soul. I could keep them safe for a little while, unless he got to the house first. Tapping my fingers on my dining room table, I let my mind roam. My irrational thoughts wouldn't let me sit still. They made me move to my bedroom. I sought out a distraction in the darkness and found it in my headphones. The earbuds were hanging off the edge of my bedside table. I snatched them up, plugging them into my iPhone and thumbing through my playlist. I found rock music I wanted, playing the music loud to drown out the immortal memoirs of my past. It worked, but I knew it was a temporary fix. Eventually, my eyes closed over for sleep with Piper appearing in my dreams, with my hoodie sheltering my face. Light streamed in my window, and I woke up with a furry tongue. Must have been the 5 beers I consumed. I didn't even remember drinking them, but the clink of the green translucent bottles when I kicked them with my foot let me know I downed them. I was waking to the light these days since it was daylight savings. Meant I woke up at around 6:40 a.m. Time to surf. The water would wash away the brain fog from the beer, I hoped. Got dressed and made my short drive down to the water. Mike, Rob and Dazza were there already joking around as I jogged to the water's edge. Hey, Jackie boy is here. Nice swell today, brother. Are you ready for it? Rob asked triumphantly. Stay on your own waves, Rob. Otherwise I will nosedive at you at the first tip of my board. You're in a savage mood this morning. Settle down, mate, settle down. I sneered. You're one to talk, loser. Stay off my waves and we'll have a good morning. Rob didn't think I was serious, but I was, and I was in a foul mood. He slapped me on the back and I approached the water with my repressed anger. Tried so hard to shake off the nightmares, but I was trapped in some sort of hellish watery cave, all because the monster had money. That was the problem. Money ruled his world and caused me a shitload of issues that I didn't know how to work out. Zoning out, I listened to my own breath out on the board. I paddled out, letting my arms do most of the work. 2 of my other surf buddies were in front of me doing the same. Peace is what came, thankfully. And this is the reason I surfed, and the reason I fell in love with the ocean. The only place where I resided in life, if I was being real. A rushing wave came as I took in a good dose of oxygen and stuck the nose of the board under it, sinking low. The icy sensation washed over me as I gasped from the sharpness of it. I was officially awake. The monster claimed my brother as well. He would bury his face like mine. Some strange obsessions with the element, but it made me a strong swimmer, like he said. I swam and swam until my legs gave out. That was after the first time he dunked me under. I practiced treading water in my spare time. I used to float under the water making mushrooms, an exercise where you tuck your knees to your chest under the water's surface and bob around on top. I held rocks and ran on the bottom of the ocean's surface to help me get stronger, faster, more resilient. I wanted him to think I was stronger, so he would let me up quicker. When really the truth was, I'd learned to hold my breath easily underwater for 3 minutes. On a good day, I could hold it for 4 minutes. My lungs were powerhouses now, and both worked to their fullest capacity. And that's why when I got dumped by the washing machine of the ocean waves, I never panicked. Watching the breaking of the sets intently, I let them roll over me as I timed each one. They were running at a beat of 2-minute intervals. The other guys still had sleep in their eyes and weren't one with the waves like they should have been. Rob was off on his timing. I swung my board around and punched forward, charging at the next wave of the set. Paddling like mad with my adrenaline peaking, I had no hesitation and was determined to catch the swell. Not enough for a barrel, but would be a nice run into the shoreline if I could catch it. I managed to activate my abdominals and hop up on my feet and hold steady. The exhilaration of catching the wave was one hard to describe. Felt like flying, only it was on water. I ran the wave all the way to the shore, grinning to myself. I knew the boys would be mad as hell that I caught it before them. I heard Rob call out from the back as the wave ran its course. We were surfing at the same end of the beach as the house. I looked up for some reason and grimaced hard as my heart hammered. He knew they were there. I saw him standing to the side with his hoodie shrouding his face. He was standing at the end of the street row. A cluster of houses were lined up along the water's edge, and I could make out the exact shadow of him. He was young, taller than me, and agile. Not much to him at first appearances, but in the water he was an aqua beast. He didn't possess the same brute strength as me, but he had youth on his side. "Shit," I yelled out. His hands were in his pockets as I left the water and jogged up to the house with my board in tow. I wanted to make my presence felt in case he tried something. He would never contest me directly. He was a coward that way. A few people were out on the beach freeway. It's when the locals got their morning sea breeze fix before they started work. He didn't register that I spotted him and kept walking towards the house where the women were sitting outside and eating breakfast. Glancing at him, I darted my eyes back to the house. Had two choices: move in the direction of the ladies, and it would turn him around, or stop him in his tracks. I chose the women and ran up to the edge of the grass. The monster's prodigy was a good 10 meters away, so time was on my side. As I reached the house, I realised I probably looked like a crazed idiot to the woman. "Eager beaver?" the quirky one said with a smile. "Yeah, surf's up." I panted lightly as I narrowed my eyes sideways to see if the women saw him, but they were focused on me. Piper stepped out of the double doors. She was wearing a brightly coloured top and leggings, and looked as if she was about to head out for a walk. Her hair hung down in her face and she pulled it up into a cute bun on top of her head. "No, I meant you being here. Aren't you seeing Piper later today?" Squinting and trying to remain calm, I watched the monster's prodigy stand to the south of the house, observing me with distaste. I shifted my eyes to the inquisitions of Susie. "Yeah, I thought I'd pop up and say hi. I'm surfing right in the same section, so I thought it'd be rude not to." Susie crossed her arms, unconvinced with my speech, as I watched the monster's prodigy turn on his heel and walk. He wouldn't want a confrontation with me, but I knew he would be back. That was a given. "Of course I would. You want some brekkie, or are you still surfing?" she asked as Piper waved with her sunshiny smile. "Nah, just a quick hi and I'm back out there." I lifted my hand off the board to wave back. I let the heart thump in my chest calm down. He wouldn't come back until he was sure I wasn't a threat anymore. But a knife was twisting in my stomach. This wasn't the end. "Piper, see you later on." "For sure," she responded with the same uncertainty that was buried in my soul. There was no telling how far he would go. I went back to surf for a little while and tried to enjoy the water, but I couldn't fully. Caught a few more waves and headed back home. I checked my phone and there was a message from him. I knew it would be there. Shouldn't have done that, bro. Now you've made me mad.